Yo, welcome back to another Pokemon Scarlet and Violet VGC video. I'm your host, Jose Rocks, and today we have another episode of Pokemon Spotlight. So today we are going to be spotlighting one of the Pokemon that just won the 2023 World Championship, and that is Chien-Pao. So Chien-Pao, what makes this Pokemon special? This Pokemon to me reminds me of the new it's like a new Zacian, right? If you guys remember, or Zacian or Zacian, how you're gonna pronounce it, was like one of the, it probably was the best Pokemon in Sword and Shield. And what made it so powerful is that it's super fast, it's a physical type attacker, it hits you hard, and it's kind of frail, but it's to the point where it has enough bulk to do what it wants to do. Chien-Pao is similar in the way that it has a focus sash, so it's able to sit on the field and do what it needs to do. And it's kind of hard to like remove it easily, just like Zacian. Like you might think it's frail, but like if you invest in it the right way, it's kind of hard to remove from the field, right? And while it's on the field, it's doing like tons of damage to everything, right? And now Chien-Pao hits things from like the dark and the ice perspective, and Zacian likes to go for the steel and the fairy. So they're both like good type coverages, but the thing that they share is that they both like to go for Sacred Sword, right? So Sacred Sword just allowed them to like hit anything that's boosted like on the physical defense side, and also like the fighting coverage is just like really good into a lot of the threats that, you know, kind of check it. So like, and like also like the mirror match for Chien-Pao is good against the other Chien-Paos, and like Zacian was good at hitting like the steel types that kind of resist both of his normal typings, right? So, you know, that's what kind of makes them similar in my opinion. They're both extremely fast, and they're like, you know, they hit really hard. And the reason that Chien-Pao seems like it hits almost as hard as Zacian does is because of its ability. Zacian gets a +1, but Chien-Pao actually drops the defense around. So they're both relatively like similar to like, that's pretty much similar to like getting a +1 on your opponents, but it drops all the defense on the field except for other Chien-Paos in itself, right? And I think that's, you know, a really good ability. And I wonder like how well these two are going to play next to each other once they're both legal in the format. But, you know, that's what it kind of reminds me of. So getting away from the Zacian, Chien-Pao, you know, with the focus sash is just, it's hard to deal with, right? Like if you don't deal with it immediately and it has like something threatening next to it, you kind of have to pick your poison, right? Whether it's like a Dragonite or Urshifu, you kind of want to deal with the Dragonite or Urshifu, right? But if you don't deal with the Chien-Pao, then it can deal a lot of damage. And what it likes to go for currently after winning Worlds, like the most common set or most common move is going to be Icicle Crash and then Sucker Punch. And right, and this is like a pretty standard this is like the most standard Chien-Pao set that you'll see. And this is consistent, right? Just having this, and then you usually will go Adamant, and then you go max speed, max attack. Actually, you go timid, not timid, jolly. This might be the best set, just so you know you at best you speed tie with other Chien-Pao. If they're Adamant, then you outspeed them. And this might be the most consistent Chien-Pao, but an adaptation that I'm seeing is Chien-Pao is going now transitioning towards the Adamant set. So it'll still be like Focus Sash, Ghost Terror, Icicle Crash, but they'll have Crunch, right? And they'll drop the Sacred Sword because the Crunch coverage is really good in the format right now. And also Sucker Punch and Protect. Right, and now they'll go Adamant, and now you can like potentially one-shot Cresselia, and you deal with like Trick Room a lot better. And like the Indeedee Armarouge, you can get, if Indeedee doesn't tear, you can remove Indeedee from the field immediately, and then allow your partner Pokemon to go ahead and knock out Armarouge, right? So it's also good for doing that. So this is also a pretty good, you know, consistent set. You can go with either one of these, and I think you'll find a lot of success. Now, my favorite Chien-Pao set now is going to be what I've used on my first Regulation D team, which I still think is pretty good, which is also a Ghost Terror variant. But I chose to go with, you know, still the Jolly Nature on mines, and then I maxed out the attack. So here's one set, and this is just my personal favorite set that I found like a lot of success with. So I would go Crunch. And I actually, this is before Icicle Crash kind of picked up in usage, and I kind of didn't want to like really play the 90% accuracy missing stuff. So this is before, you know, that move became popular. So I was going Ice Spinner because I felt like I really wanted to remove Indeedee's terrain and other terrains. So I felt like that was useful. And then I also went Ice Shard, right, which helped me get around like it helped me like pick up KOs on things that are weak to ice, like Tornadus, Landorus, Thunderous. Just if they're at 50%, Landorus, it can one hit KO it, right? But if the others at like 50%, then you can kind of KO them before they get their priority move off and like kind of annoy the rest of your team. And also, they can't play around it with like switching out, like how they can play around Sucker Punch, or like against Fluttermane going for like a substitute in front of a Sucker Punch. They can't do that in front of an Ice Shard, right? And I felt like that was just a really good, you know, clutch for me. So this is my favorite Chien-Pao set that I've been using, that I was using in the earlier the format. I think I'm also gonna start transitioning towards the Icicle Crash, because seeing it in Worlds with like this set, like the Icicle Crash, the amount of flinches that this thing gets, like the 30% chance to flinch feels like 50% chance. It's like a 50-50. Like it makes you flinch so often, and honestly, it makes you flinch more than this attack misses, which is insane, you know. And it's only a 10% chance to miss, but I just feel like it always hits, and you know, when it needs to. Sometimes it misses when it doesn't, but you know, I feel like it's really good. Another Chien-Pao set that kind of fell off, that was like used to be the main Chien-Pao set that we used to see, was Ice Spinner, Sucker Punch, and Haze. Now this was the good Dondozo counters, and occasionally you will see this set still, and there's also a Focus Sash with Ghost Terror. You'll see this Chien-Pao set, right? And this set is really good against the Dondozo, because sometimes Dondozo, if it has a good terror, like a Fairy Terror, then you can't really deal the damage that you want to with Sacred Sword. And Haze just allows you to immediately, before Dondozo can move, because it doesn't outspeed you, because most likely you're going to be max attack, max speed with the Focus Sash and Jolly Nature as well. And now you can get your Haze out before Dondozo can even move, and now you can like knock it out with your partner Pokemon. So this is also a set that used to be pretty good. Now, one Chien-Pao set that I want to talk about that took off and kind of caught my attention was this set. And this is the set that actually won the Japanese Invitational. It was Poison Terror with Life Orb. Now they forgo the Focus Sash, and they went for Icicle Crash just to deal a lot of damage, Sucker Punch, and Sacred Sword. Now Sacred Sword, Sucker Punch, and Icicle Crash off the Life Orb, it's like doing so much damage. And I do believe that he still went with the Jolly Nature just so he outsped other Chien-Pao, but he had the Life Orb boost. He might have been Adamant, I'm not sure. I think if you go with the Poison, you should go to Adamant. I think he was Adamant, right? I'm not sure. You can leave a comment below if you remember if he was Adamant or Jolly. I think he was Adamant, because this thing was just doing so much damage. And the Poison Terror is so smart, because what do people usually like to hit Chien-Pao with to kind of remove it quickly? It's fairy moves and fighting moves, right? And occasionally steel type moves, but steel type coverage is not as common as it needs to be for like dealing with Chien-Pao as it is to like Fluttermane getting hit with steel type coverage, right? People more so look at Chien-Pao and want to hit it with fairy and fighting, and if they got steel coverage, then they'll go for it. But right, it's usually fairy and fighting. So, and also like steel will still be neutral with the poison, but poison just resists fairy and fighting, and it's just a really good terror for it. And like being able to resist that, stay on the field for just 1 or 2 turns, and like click powerful Life Orb, Icicle Crashes, and Sucker Punches is just like this really powerful to me. And this is something that I actually want to try out myself to see how good it is. I just want to like build like not the same team that Hirofumi used in the Japanese Invitational, but just something else that I want to use against, you know, not from around it, or build something different around it, I should say. And one final Chien-Pao set that I do want to talk about is the one that I put on. I'm using this set on my snow team. It's something that I wanted to experiment with, and it's just my personal, you know, preference. But it's gonna be Assault Vest Chien-Pao, right, with Electric Terror, you know, giving you pretty much a neutrality to all attacks except for ground. And then I just went with Ice Spinner because this was a bulkier Chien-Pao, so it's slower. So Icicle Crash is usually better on Chien-Pao when it's outspeeding things, but mine was kind of slower, right? I made it like fast enough to outspeed like Urshifu, and I kind of calc mine from level 100 because that's just the way I learned how to EV my Pokemon when I first started playing. So, you know, I drop it back down to 50 to make sure I'm, you know, I have the right stuff. But I gave it like this much speed investment because I just wanted to make sure it outsped Urshifu. And then like I put like a lot of it intact. Let's see, I was adamant. And I went to the second to last EV bump. So that's going to be the 63. And that's where the EV bump is right here, where you see where it jumps from 361 to 363. That's the EV bump. And the EV bump is where, you know, you start to see the most damage, where the damage changes to where it's not really a roll, right? And, you know, we can explain EV bumps a little later if you want. You can leave a comment below and I can talk to you more about it. But it's pretty much where if you do want to EV your Pokemon to get the most out of the attack, you want to hit over the EV bump. And now the rest of this stats, if you max it out, it's going to be doing pretty similar damage to if you just left it on the EV bump, right? So that just gives you excess, you know, EVs to put elsewhere. So I put like a bunch in the special attack, special defense, and I just dumped the rest in HP. And I just kind of made like just a bulkier Chien-Pao with Assault Vest. And the Electric Terror with Terra Blast was like really good in countering like the bulky water types and the water terrors. And then I also went Sacred Sword, because Sacred Sword is always good to have, and Sucker Punch for a priority, right? And the Terra Blast is really unique on this set because I'm able to one-hit KO, you know, Gholdengo when the water terrors, one-hit KO Urshifu, one-hit KO water terror Amoonguss, and it just felt really strong. And it was just, I just wanted to try something different, and also being able to just survive, you know, how Fluttermane always likes to calc to survive your icicle crashes and stuff like that. Now you're just surviving its Dazzling Gleam when it thinks that it's gonna bring you down a sash, and it only brings you down to about 40-45% left of your health, which I felt like was really cool. And it was a set that I wanted to try, and it was actually pretty useful. It's not a bad set. I wouldn't say it's optimal, but it's something fun if you want to try something different and get away from, like, you know, the standard kind of frail Chien-Paos, and it's a little bit slower. But like I said, it felt fun to me, and also being able to kind of wall the Indeedee Armor Root stuff, but being bulkier and slower and being able to remove the terrain was actually like a really good set for me. So it's kind of like, you know, what I want to talk about Chien-Pao when, you know, it's showing up on almost every team. So if we look at some of the teams from Worlds, congratulations to Shohei as well because he won. But just look at it, the top 3 teams had Chien-Pao, right? You know, Federico, he got 4th place. He didn't have Chien-Pao. But right after that, 5th, 6th had Chien-Pao. Then you drop down to 9th place, Chien-Pao. 10th place, Chien-Pao. And then you continue to go down, 14th place, 15th place, 17th place. That's literally, you know, over like half of the top 26 team. And you see the ones towards the bottom right, they didn't have Chien-Pao and they didn't, you know, make the top 23. But, you know, it's pretty much on a little more than half of every team that, you know, got into the top 26 in this list. And then you can just look at like the most recent tournament after like as of this video being made, right? And then you look here, there's Chien-Pao there, Chien-Pao here, and you know, he just won with this. Now this team is kind of like a regulation C team, and it's still doing well, and I'm pretty sure Chien-Pao is like a large reason for that. And I'm shocked to see that they actually still won a tournament, because like this team was soft back in regulation C, and it's still like doing well now. And a lot of things that you can take into account when you're building teams is teams that were used to be good, that the Pokemon are still relatively decent in the format. That if the team was solved before, you can bring it back when the format, like later on in the format, when people have moved on from solving it, and now they think that the team is not that common anymore, and you can kind of sneak up with it and, you know, win a tournament or so. And that's kind of like what this team did. Like Dondozo is not really that common no more, so pulling up with this team when people are not expecting it and they thought that, you know, it's probably, you know, a fossil now and nobody really wants to try that, and now you're winning a tournament with it because people just don't have answers for it anymore, right? And I think that's really cool that like you can bring back a team like that. But like I say, Chien-Pao, you know, we can look at the sets here. He used the Ice Spinner Sucker Punch Crunch Chien-Pao. So I think this is a really cool set, and it's Dark Terror, so I guess to get the most out of the Sucker Punch and the Crunch. And it's really similar to, like, you know, what I said was my favorite Chien-Pao set. But mine's had the Ghost Terror with Ice Shard. But, you know, he is attacking that Ice Spinner and that Crunch, and he's able to win a tournament with it. So, and this is really cool. He has Mirror Coat and Counter and Terra Steel with Assault Vest. Like, I didn't know Tessagiri got both of those. This is a really cool set. And it's, you know, standard choice band, standard choice specs. Oh, it has power gem, so it's actually not too standard. Choice scarf. So he has all 3 choice items, like, and assault vest. Like he just has no protect really except on Chien-Pao and Dondozo. So this is a really hyper offense team. And I actually like teams like this. When I hit number 1 on the ladder in Sword and Shield, the team that I used had Assault Vest, Choice Scarf, Choice Band, and Choice Specs, all of it on it. Also had Focus Sash. I think the only other item was Eviolite, and that was on my Porygon. So instead of leftovers, but I used all 5 of these items, and I was able to hit number 1 because when you use this, you know that you have to beat your opponent well, and you have to have a specific counter for Trick Room with a hyper offense team like this. And as long as you can get Trick Room out of there immediately, like these teams not having to switch but just being like straight hard offense, a lot of people don't know how to respond to these type of teams. But getting back to Chien-Pao, I think this Pokemon is definitely an S tier Pokemon. I want to see how well it does in the restricted format because it's still gonna be around. It might not be as offensive as a Pokemon as it could have been. It's definitely gonna be carrying the Focus Sash guaranteed in the restricted format because it's so frail with the power level going up. But I feel like it's gonna be a great support Pokemon, right? For like picking things off that are weak and also applying that ability to allow other, restricteds to thrive. And also a lot of the restricteds that weren't really good, like Zekrom and Giratina, and just what is the fusion of Solgaleo and Lunala? Not Solgaleo and Necrozma Dustmane. Like being able to help with their physical attacks, like it's gonna be a really fun Pokemon if all of those are in the current meta. So that's gonna be it for this video. Let me know what you guys think with a comment below. If you like Chien-Pao, if you think it reminds you of Zacian or not, or if you think it's oppressive, or you think that it's really not an issue for you to deal with if you just able to beat Chien-Pao easily. I do think that it has its niche in the format. It's definitely respectable. You definitely have to build your teams in a way to deal with it, and I feel like that makes for a great Pokemon, right? So like I said, leave a like, a comment below, subscribe, turn on those post notifications for me because I am posting content every single day. And I will catch you guys in the next one. All right, deuces.